remember when you told me I'd learn everything I'd ever need to know in school? Yeah. Well, I never learned how to do taxes, what taxes are, how to manage money, anything about banking, how to grow food, how to handle rejection, how to love myself, how to handle interviews, how to buy my first home, how to survive in the wild, or how to handle myself in dangerous situations. But I sure am glad I know the Pythagorean theorem. Hey, Mom.
So this is the reason why our kids are suffering. We don't give them no information outside of school. When was the last time you sat down and talked with your kids and asked your kids, like the old days when parents used to ask, what do you want to be when you grow up? Are you molding your kids to be that? Or are you molding your kids to be what you want them to be? Anything? Or you just letting society control they move and they motion? Like, you ain't got no motion, you ain't got no ocean, as they say. But, all truth, all jokes aside, we're not taking time with our kids as most parents did with their kids back in the day. I know mine did. My grandmother sat me down, asked me if I wanted to become a lawyer, doctor, if anything, and she wanted to make that happen. Now, it was up to me to do good in school, get good grades, and pursue that career. Now, as I got older, things changed. And over time, I developed more characteristic traits about myself. I knew more things I was interested in, so I can make an educated guess on what I would want to choose for my life. And doing that with my kids the same. But leading them and guiding them in a direction to say, if you want to be this, this is what you need to know. Needless to say, even with finance, they're going to need some type of budgeting, finance throughout all forms of life. Whether you're a painter, whether you're a plumber, whether you're a professional wrestler, whether you a doctor, some form of profession. Needless to say, going to college, being in the military, you're going to need to know budgeting. You're going to need to know about taxes. You go do your taxes, people can get over on you. Don't you know a 1040 EZ is the most simplest form to fill out your taxes on TurboTax, where it's free. I remember when I was young, I used to get my taxes done for free at the library. First time I filed taxes, I was 15 years old. Got it done for free at the library. All I had to do was go to the library and take my paperwork up there, go get one of these older gentlemen, this older woman that was doing tax service for free. I went and filled out paperwork and did all that, and I got my tax return. After paying taxes, which I wasn't bummed about it because I already knew the situation at hand. Most people, they get into a form when they're young, learning about taxes, and figure like, this is a travesty, this is somebody getting over on me. But I was, introduced to taxes at a young age, so me being an older gentleman, taxes really didn't do nothing to me. Wasn't in a really big influence that hurt me like most people. And that's the, thing. When you learn these things at a young age, it's not a surprise to you. Needless to say, talking to your kids, man, teaching them about taxes, teaching them how to, fill out paperwork for a job. Don't you know the average kid doesn't even know how to fill out a paperwork for a job, let alone what needs to be on a resume? Because these are the things that we're not talking about in our household. We're not talking about budgeting. We're not talking about having our kids set up for things, because majority of the time, the system is already put in place for us. If our kids want to learn something, it's trial and error almost. Like, you literally have to go through bull crap after bull crap for you to actually, somewhat be informed. Your parents are not telling you this. The school is not telling you this. You're lost to the point where when you get in society, they will teach you. I've always said, if you don't learn from life, life will teach you. So their points, they're key, where your parents are not teaching you these things, the system is going to teach you. Society is going to teach you. So in reality, we need to spend more time with our kids focusing on things like this, telling them about budgeting, telling them how things can influence their life, telling them how the bigger to the smaller things, can influence you by not paying your taxes now, by paying them later. holding out, claiming exempt, what does that do to your taxes? That means you owe them when they wasn't taking as much taxes out. The basis of which I learned is to file exempt certain times of the year and change it back up, because the thing for me is I don't want to owe you nothing, and I don't want you taking much out of my check. I want to level out every chance I get. And to a degree, we got to learn how to teach our kids that, man. We gone.